Spotify has been putting themselves into a position here within the self-publishing industry that is starting to make everybody say, ACX who? What's that? And for good reason. And there's so many things about Spotify we actually have to discuss. And also other items that we're going to discuss in today's self-publishing news include Kobo, Drafted Digital, the Hot Sheet, public domain books rolling out for this year, and so much more. So you're going to want to make sure that you stay tuned to today's broadcast. So let's go ahead and jump right into the news. We're going to start out with the fine folks over at Book Award Pro. Believe it or not, they actually fired off a deal here this past Black Friday, and they gave this to me exclusively here for you guys. You can take 25% off your first month on any plan on Book Award Pro all the way up to January the 14th when you use my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/Book Award Deal. All right, that's going to take 25% off. Now, in the event that you don't have any money and you're like, Dale, come on, man, I don't want to buy it, get their free plan. Get their free plan and you go ahead and apply for the book awards on your own, and you can handle all that stuff. Just try them out, because I think you will be surprised at what you're going to get. In fact, I've heard so many people inside my Discord community that have really enjoyed having that free feature available. But if you've been on the fence about getting it, now's a great time to do it before January 14th. Again, dalelinks.com/Book Award Deal. You get 25% off any of the plans for your first month. All right, next item up in the news. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Yeah, that's right. Actually, it's me. Huge updates for Amazon KDP Publishing. Actually, I did a live broadcast this past month discussing the really weird glitch that's going on with the Amazon Browse Paths or the Amazon categories. And quite a few people have actually commented that it's worked out for them, the solution that I gave, and other people that are like, it's not working. Okay, so that we can kind of clarify things, let me walk it back just a second. What's happening is, if you're publishing through Amazon KDP, you can assign, sure, 2 categories for each one of the books inside your dashboard, but that's just the BISAC category. All right, that is the universal standard between the US and UK for categorization of books. All right. Amazon's got their own categorization system. So though you choose those things, what they do is they look at that and your keywords that you have selected, and then they go ahead and they automatically put you into usually 1 to 3 categories. Then you can go in and request a total of 10 categories, right? So if you don't like those 3 categories, you can get it removed and you can add in the right categories that you want to. The problem is, what's happening is there are some categories your books aren't showing up in. We don't know why. And here's the thing is, the first broadcast, I misspoke, and my apologies for that. KDP is saying you can still have the 10 categories. You can still request it. No problem. Yeah, we'll go ahead and add you to that. But the problem is you aren't showing up on it. So then the Hot Sheet, which is hosted by Jane Friedman, had worked with Alex Newton from K-Lytics and also Dave Chesson, the Kindlepreneur from Publisher Rocket. Now, Dave Chesson actually kind of discussed kind of a workaround type thing, and it required like tier 4 and blah, blah, blah. Go watch the video. You can get full explanation so you understand it just a little bit more. All that to say this is Dave even said to me that this is not a foolproof plan. It's a workaround and it may not work for everybody. In fact, so much so that he didn't even feel confident about sharing it with everybody yet. I decided to share it with you anyways because it was available through the Hot Sheet. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to work for everybody. What would work for everybody is if KDP steps up and says, hey, we know there's an issue. We're trying to fix it. Continue to request the 10 categories as you wish, and we'll go ahead and move on with that. So, any other clarification that you need, remember there's going to be some links inside the description down below, so you can go ahead and take a look at some of these links and sources. Let's go ahead and move a little further forward over to the fine folks over at Ally, the Alliance of Independent Authors. Now, the Alliance of Independent Authors, they went ahead and put together this piece about what are the highest indie author earners doing. And let me just go ahead and summarize it here, just the very top portion here. The report breaks down results from 1,300 authors. It divides them into 8 earning categories from $0 to $249 per month to $10,000 plus per month. For each of those stages of earning, it asks some simple but really interesting questions. How much time was spent on writing per week? How many books have people written? And are they enrolled in KDP Select? How much do people spend on covers and editing per book? And what do people find most effective in terms of marketing? It is very in-depth. All that to say this. People at every stage have published a lot of books, with even the $250 bracket having 10 or more publications and top earners 50. But writing time remains fairly consistent at 20 to 30 hours per week, which suggests a lot of the high earners have either simply been doing it longer, have more efficient processes for using time, or have reverted backlists. It's also encouraging to see that most people find marketing the hardest part of the job, and while high earners spend slightly more time on marketing, it's not much more, the figure never getting beyond 17 hours per week. So all that to say this, that if you're kind of grinding your gears and trying to figure like, where's my breakthrough coming? This piece kind of highlights the fact that, 20 to 30 hours of writing per week. And now, of course, you're going to be writing, make sure you're publishing, because you can write all you want to and not get paid a dime. You're going to need to make sure that you go ahead and publish that stuff. Great group to go ahead and get involved with would be 20 Books to 50K, which is a Facebook group. It's got 50,000 members in it and such, and they actually have a conference out in Las Vegas. Highly recommend you go ahead and take a look at it. But the whole philosophy is built around 20 books to $50,000 per year in earnings. So if you've got 20 books, that's the whole theory, is you'd be able to get up to $50,000 per year. So just kind of use that with a little bit of take it with a grain of salt, first of all, because it's not going to be accurate for everybody. And the next thing is going to be hopefully it inspires you somewhat. Hey, coming from the fine folks over at Publish Drive, the aggregate publishing platform, they actually have a January weekend sale. This is for Kobo US. Their deadline for submissions is January the 15th, 2023. And any event, submissions must be promotionally priced at $5.99 and under. So make sure that you are getting all of that handed in relatively soon. With today being January the 9th, you obviously want to get on top of that. Let's go ahead and we're going to come on over. I'm going to save Drafted Digital here for just a bit because we are actually going to be talking about them in just a moment here. I want to go ahead and bring up a couple of pieces I found through Jane Freeman at the Hot Sheet. A big shout out to her. Go over to hotsheetpub.com if you want to go ahead and get your hands on this. But I'm going to go ahead and highlight a couple of the pieces that I found in her latest newsletter. One of them being Public Domain Day. Yes, January 1st, 2023 is Public Domain Day. Works from 1927 are open to all. Now, stay tuned for just a second, all right? Because after this, I'm going to discuss that copyright ruling has changed in another region. That can greatly affect your distribution and how you do it there. At any rate, a number of the public domain works that have come on over is Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse, Arthur Conan Doyle, let's see here, Thornton Wilder, Ernest Hemingway, Agatha Christie, easy for me to say, and so many more here. You can actually see a full list of this. So if you're into publishing public domain work, great. Hopefully you're on top of it, because I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that are going to publish these public domain works. Remember, if you're publishing public domain work, try to get something that's differentiating from previous versions. Could be insights, it could be illustrations, it could be layout, it could probably be footnotes, things like that that's going to make it different. KDP especially wants that. And if you're publishing public domain work on KDP, make sure that you're selecting that box on the first page of the upload process, because they tend to get a little bit salty if you don't mention that and you're publishing public domain work. The other piece that they went ahead and shared, this has something to do with copyright. Oh my gosh, this changes everything up in Canada. Canada extends copyright protection for 20 more years under new trade obligation. So, how it works for public domain. The works of, let's say, a creator, we'll say it's me, are not available to the public for distribution until 50 years after my death, which, by the way, have fun with it. I mean, I'll probably end up giving it to one of my nephews or nieces or something like that for when I die. Who knows what I'm end up doing. But if they don't carry that copyright or continue to renew that copyright, then it will go into the public domain. And right now that's 50 years, but up in Canada, now it's 70 years. So This is pretty nice. I mean, I'm probably not thinking 70 years in the future. I really don't care beyond 70 years because me being alive is probably not going to be very likely. But all that to say that this is kind of a cool little thing. I mean, maybe I geek out about the wrong things. But all right, moving further forward here, the fine folks over at Lulu actually has a webinar coming up. This is going to be on Wednesday, January the 18th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is Create Your Ultimate Authorship Plan for 2023. And this workshop will work together to set effective goals that fit your unique dreams, motivations, and lifestyle. We'll also help you develop a nimble month-to-month plan that allows you to achieve your goals while remaining flexible enough to handle life's inevitable curveballs. Finally, you'll learn how to build a customized system that encourages you to stay on track and focused on your most meaningful writing and publishing goals. This is really super cool. And one of the nice things that I love about Lulu's quote unquote webinars is they're not like the webinars where they're going to pitch you something at the end. Like I've been to quite a few of the Lulu webinars, and it's literally just like a nice little intimate affair that you're able to sit with the folks over at Lulu and learn a little bit from them. But yeah, Audrey Huey is going to be the webinar host. Usually it's Chelsea Bennett, that's typically co-host there from Team Lulu. But highly recommend. Go ahead and take a look at that. Again, I'll go ahead and put the links to that inside the show notes for sure. All right, let's transition on over to Drafted Digital. And of course, this is really kind of cool to talk about. And that is the past year for them has been exemplary. It's been fantastic. If you're not familiar with Drafted Digital, they're an aggregate publishing platform, meaning that they go ahead and distribute your works out to numerous platforms on your behalf. In exchange, they have a revenue share of, I think, 15%, 15 to 20%, something like that. And that's kind of nice because you have all of your sales in one dashboard. You don't need to worry about chasing up different sales reports and things like that. You just go straight to Drafted Digital, and there's no upload fees or anything else crazy like that. They have ebook distribution and they have print book distribution. Now, before anybody asks, no, they do not distribute low content books. They have actually told me point blank, we do not do that. So low content book publishers, sorry, Drafted Digital is off the table. But the big news that I had shared this past month was the fact that they finally had integration with Smashwords stores. Now, I love Smashwords stores for so many reasons. And one of them includes the fact that they actually have usually quarterly promotions that they do, and they have organic traffic. They have readers coming to their platform to consume content. And every time that they have a sale of some sort, I get a decent amount of sales. And I hate to say this, I never promote them. I'm really horrible. They do all the promoting and I make the money. So, but they actually shared a little bit more. Kevin Tomlinson, big shout out to my boy Kevin. On January 4th, they talk about the year of joining forces, talking about acquiring Smashwords earlier in 2022, and of course, getting Smashwords store available. And they talked a little bit more about some of the things that could be expected soon, which would be Smashwords coupons, Smashwords pre-sales, self-serve merchandising, author interviews. D2D erotica authors will gain access to the Smashwords erotica certification system, which is great because Drafted Digital didn't allow for erotica for distribution a while ago. That's the crazy part right there. So now they're going to be able to allow that eventually. So having that integration there means that we'll be able to still distribute erotica. Now, if you're not an erotica author, just disregard this. Smashwords authors and publishers can expect to gain access to simpler publishing tools for automated in matter, books to read, universal book links, author pages, book tabs, and reading lists, D2D print for POD paperbacks. I'd mentioned that already. By the way, it says print is still in beta, but if you just request from their team, Chris Austin, the CEO, said in an interview back in April of 2022 that if you just ask, they'll probably just give it to you. So just reach out to support if you want to get print book beta. It's paperback only, but I'm hearing really good things about it. But anyway, D2D, payment splitting for co-authors and collaborations, new payment options, including direct bank deposits, which is really, really nice. I like having that to where I'm not getting nickel and dime through PayPal. But all right, moving a little further forward, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's address the elephant in the room. That is Spotify. And there's so much that has happened about Spotify within the last year. That's just absolutely crazy. So it was about a little over a year ago. I think it was November of 2021 that Spotify came in and bought a parent company, Findaway, parent company of Findaway Voices, called Findaway. And there were some people that were a little bit skeptical. They were a little scared because there have been nightmare stories coming from musicians who have used Spotify for distribution and have just seen, pennies for their efforts and such. But I really wanted to kind of share what their position is right now with Findaway Voices and what you're going to get paid. This is very interesting. Now, if you're not familiar with Findaway Voices, to me, I think it is one of the best platforms to distribute your audiobooks. Yes, ACX is still the big dog, but the problem is ACX is still mired in controversy. All right, there's still the issue with Audible Gate. All right, there's still litigation going on with that. And in just a moment, I'm going to share a big name that actually called them out. This is crazy. But at any rate, let's come back to Spotify for just a moment here. We got our audiobooks distributed to Spotify by way of Findaway Voices. This is really, really cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at Schedule C agreement here for distribution. And underneath it, you actually will see how much you're paid for each one of these avenues. ACX, where are you at? Where are you at? You're constantly sharing all this information, but not this type of stuff. This is incredible. That Findaway Voices, you can find this. By the way, this is the Voices Distribution Agreement. It is the latest version of it. But you will see that Spotify is listed on here at 50%. So that means you get 50% of each sale. Now, bear in mind, and I can have Findaway Voices go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong inside the comments down below, that it is going to be a revenue share. All right, so you actually have an 80-20 split with Findaway Voices, as opposed to a 40-60 over at ACX for exclusive and 25-75 for ACX in ACX's favor. All right, so this is huge. This is a big deal. So you're probably saying, but wait, hang on. How is this good, Dale? I'm getting distribution to Spotify for 50%. Okay, great. That sounds better than the 40% that I get on ACX. But what about when Findaway Voices comes in and takes their cut? Okay, they come in, it's an 80-20 split, so it literally moves your percentage down to 40%. Wow, and I didn't have to be exclusive to get this deal? Sign me up. Now, I haven't seen very good or big results on Spotify just yet, but then again, I haven't distributed there just yet. Now, there's so much more to this Spotify, thing here. The very first thing I love, and this one just rolled out at the end of November, is Spotify promo cards for audiobooks. They actually have something available where you can create your own promo card to pretty much share through social media and have the Spotify branding. And it's at promocards.buyspotify.com/audiobooks. And when you go and visit that, you'll be able to put together your own promo cards for your stuff and share it wherever you wish. This is all for free. Spotify's doing this. So I really kind of like the fact that they did this. Speaking of liking things, they decided they're just going to go ahead and step things up. So over on ACX, I have to sit here and compare these things to ACX because ACX is kind of the gold standard, has been for years. But if you want promotional codes, you will only get them for two specific regions, and that is in US and UK. The distribution only happens to 4. And at any rate, if there's somebody outside the US or UK, too bad, so sad. The promotional codes they also give you is only 25 at a time, and until you have used those, they won't give you more. And they'll only give you up to 100 per the entire distribution agreement. Yeah, that sucks. You know what doesn't suck? The fact that they actually rolled out 100 free giveaway codes for Spotify. So before, you actually used to have 30 codes that you could use through Authors Direct, which is owned and run by Findaway. And that's nice. It did have its limitations, not to mention some friction, because obviously audiobook readers, or listeners, if you will, are probably a little bit more discerning. They're going to probably go, ooh, this isn't Audible, this isn't Amazon. Authors Direct, am I going to get malware? Am I going to... No. You say Spotify, people are going to sit up at attention because they're going to go, oh yeah, I know Spotify is. Yeah, for sure. So they're giving 100 free giveaway codes. Here's the nice thing is if you've already distributed through Findaway Voices, they're automatically going to give it to you. Boom, that's it. Just go in and request them, bam, and it just loads you up with all those promotional codes. That's cool, especially since I burned through all of my promotional codes for Authors Direct already, so they gave me another 100 on top of that. Not just 30, 100. So I'm really geeked up about this. I love Findaway Voices for more reasons than one, and you should too, but let's go ahead and let's discuss something else. That's Brandon Sanderson. Now, if you haven't heard of Brandon Sanderson, just Google up the name. Brandon Sanderson is probably one of the biggest names in all of traditional publishing and self-publishing. In fact, this last year, I think it was $43 million that he was able to put together in a Kickstarter campaign. And a lot of this, what I'm going to discuss, is something that was featured on Brandon Sanderson's site. And it is his plans of what he's going to be doing going into this year. And one of the things that he brought up was he's going to be distributing his audiobooks through Spotify. Yeah, just Spotify. And he actually acknowledges the fact that he is not going to Audible because he does not like the practices. And I think the quote was something along, and I'm going to have to paraphrase this, that essentially authors are being paid peanuts to distribute through ACX, to distribute through Audible. And he thought it was just a crying shame, considering it's 40% for exclusive and 25% for non-exclusive. This right here, I'm telling you what, somebody please mail Brandon Sanderson a banana sticker, because I like the fact that even though he knows he's probably going to lose out on millions of dollars in revenue by going with Audible and Amazon, he went with Spotify instead because he wanted to take a stand against this. And he even said he knows the people over at Audible. He knows those folks over there. But he says that he doesn't agree with what they're doing. The other platform that he was looking into doing as well is called Speechify. No relation to Spotify, by the way. But it is a text-to-speech platform. I've been digging into it, and it's pretty interesting, to say the least. The narration isn't perfect. AI is still improving, but I think it's pretty awesome that if you use Speechify for distribution of your audiobook, you could actually get Gwyneth Paltrow or Snoop Dogg as AI voices for your audiobook. And trust me, there was a part of me that was like, I want Snoop Dogg to narrate my audiobook, but it's neither here nor there. All that to say this is that when one of the largest names in all of publishing, one of the largest names in authors in Brandon Sanderson makes a stand, dude, I'm so proud of being an indie author, and the fact that someone like this steps up and says, you know what, screw the money. Let's make a stand here. And I think that's just absolutely commendable. And as we start to wrap up today's podcast news segment here, folks, make sure you go on over, visit my new video on demand service called the Self-Publishing Hub. You can go to theselfpublishinghub.com, and for about $9.99 per month, you get a ton of different courses and categories and things like that. Everything from DIY publishing course for beginners, leveraging Amazon keywords, no content book publishing, and so much more. Go over to selfpublishinghub.com. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I will chat with you folks next week. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.